I've noticed some non-Chinese name. Great, and of course, I like all kind of students. And you get to when you get to know me better, you know that I'm a very international person. So I've
Good. So am I. In fact, I use the Chinese name Go when I'm in a Chinese speaking setting, but not today.
When I was in Toronto, I live near a street called McCowan. So.
All right. Okay.
So, by the way, has any one of you received from your main OpenUID some email message about a Moodle website with a password like that? Have you, any one of you received that? I have set up a Moodle website, although I haven't set it up properly yet. Hello. Hello, Mike. Hello, Po Yi. Oh, by the way, now that I'm sharing my screen, do you still see my face?
I can now, yes, yes.
You still can, right?
Yes.
Good. Okay, because I'm looking at my watch. Well, finally, because as a host, I can each time a person signed in, I can hear a ding dong like in the background. I'm not sure if you hear it from your end.
Yeah.
You hear that too?
Yes.
Okay. But I guess you don't see the number of participants, do you? Or because we already have.
Well, not all together. I can see a list on the right hand side, and then there's a down arrow, which means I could scroll down and see the other name, but can't be bothered to do that.
Okay.
Oh, it says there are 201. Yeah,
yes, and
down at the bottom.
So finally, yeah, the ding dong is a little bit less frequent now, but it's still going. It's still going. I guess we have passed 2 o'clock, so I guess we can start anytime.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, hopefully, because Zoom is supposed to do the recording. Okay, yes, I can see it's recording now. So in case someone is late to our class, they can always, they should be able to get back to the video. And if you have trouble, please let me know. So now, let me start with what we're going to do. Okay, so first, I'll introduce myself and another teaching staff, CM. So as you can see here, we will talk a little bit about what education, okay? So although you have been in school for so many years, you think you know everything about education, but maybe there's another way to look at it, okay? And then, of course, everybody cares about assessment. And I'm happy to tell you that we're not going to have either online or sit down in a hall type of written exam. So throughout the course, you will be accumulating work, and then the group members can just put together their work, and with a relatively small, like not too much effort, then they can put together the final group report. And we'll talk about that. So you won't have to go through the anxiety of preparing and sitting through a final exam. So one of my objectives here is to make this course as enjoyable as possible. Okay, so and of course, everybody can participate and chip in to make it an enjoyable one. Now, okay, so every course has some learning outcomes, and yes, we're going through some very interesting time. Throughout my life, I think probably the world around me is going through the most challenging time ever, like I have ever seen. So we have to, like, you will see that we don't have too much heavy stuff in software engineering yet. Okay, whatever we're going through is going to be like relatively light on software engineering. So we'll get through the administrative stuff and also the motivation. Okay, so motivation is very important. So let me introduce myself now. Oh, okay, they're very sensitive. Okay, I've attended university in Canada at York University and U of Toronto. And I also lived there, raised my family there, and my son was born there. But I am an adventurous, so I want to see the world. So I decided that instead of getting my PhD in Canada, I would go to England myself, okay? And then it's very uncommon for a married person with family to study abroad, but I did. So I finished my PhD in Loughborough, which is in the middle of England, okay? And then these are my work experience. I've worked for IBM, banks, and large insurance companies in Toronto. And when I was a research student, I taught at U of Toronto and Loughborough University in England. And also, while I'm working on or waiting for the result of my PhD thesis, I've taught 1 year at City U of Hong Kong. So you can be assured that the education you are here getting from my course is probably better than those other students that I have taught before. Suppose my teaching is improving every year, okay? And I enjoy music. You can see in the top right corner, harmonica. For several months, we work from home. It's so boring, so I picked that up and I can play a song now. I enjoy sports. Dragon boat's my sport, and recently Muay Thai. Okay, so this is my instructor in Thailand. Okay, so if I get a chance, I would go to Bangkok once or twice. Okay, my club is one of the top in Bangkok. Of course, they've I don't know if they have ever had a student my age, but and this is my Si Heng, okay, so my senior instructor. So, and anytime, if you have anything that you want to talk about this course or even your own well-being, I have my email here, okay? Since I may be in class, I don't put my office phone here. Maybe I should, okay? But next time maybe I'll try to remember to put my office phone here, because we don't work from home anymore. We generally come back to the campus full time. Now this is another person I want to introduce. This is too sensitive. Somehow it just moved. Well, CM, he got his PhD from CDU. He's a registered teacher in Hong Kong, so he knows some theory. He's actually trained for the teaching profession, and he got his Microsoft certification. His interest in computers and education, and he get excellent rating by students, a lot better than mine. So you can be assured that if you have him as your tutor, then you're very lucky. Okay, so the tutorials will be run by him or me. So depending who you got, okay? And his email can be found here. And so I said we want to learn a little bit more about what is education. This is some prominent people have said about education. Albert Einstein, okay? He said, education's not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. So what does it mean? It means if I only give you an exam to test your memorization, it's not a very good way of testing your ability as a university student. And okay, Dr. Seuss, he's a very famous author in writing children's book, although he also has done some film writing and so on. Okay, he said, the more you read, the more things you will know. And the more you learn, the more places you go. So for me, I really care about freedom. So if you can promise me freedom, then I would go for it. But learning is a lot more than reading. So after reading, I believe you need to reflect on what you read. Benjamin Franklin, tell me and I forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I will learn. So I'll try to design activities to help you to get more into it. So I'll give you things to do every week, a little bit, every week. And hopefully I would not try to make you do too much like after the class time. So lecture, I hope you would attend all the lectures. And in the tutorial, I hope that you will be able to finish your work in the tutorial. And on top of that, I don't expect you having to spend more than 3-4 hours, maybe just 2 hours in addition. But you can tell me about your workload later, okay? So Bruce Lee, our favorite action star, okay? A wise man can learn more from a foolish question than a fool can learn from a wise answer. So learning to ask questions, okay? Or if there are so many questions in the world to answer, you won't have time to answer all the questions. So you have to know how to choose what questions are more important. Henry Ford. Ford is the person who started the Ford Motor Company. And he said, anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. Maybe most of you are around 20 and you aging is not anything on your mind, okay? But someday you'll have to deal with aging, and keep learning is a way for you to stay young, okay?
Yeah, well, I can confirm that I'm 62.
You're 62. Okay, so you're 2 years older than me. Okay, very good. And now, let me because I have something blocking my other. Abigail Adams. She is the uh, wife of the second United States president. The first president was George Washington. Okay, she's and then was it John Adams? Was the second? Of course, is Adams, and it's the second U.S. President. And she said, "Learning is not attained by chance; it must be sought for with ardor and attended with diligence." So that means learning requires hard work, and if when you read book, you always skim. That means you're sort of skipping. You read a few words and you go to the next paragraph. If this is how you read, or if you attend a lecture, okay, pay attention for a few minutes and then attend your mobile phone for another few minutes, then you are learning in a hit and miss style. So sometimes you catch it and sometimes you don't. So that could be a problem. Okay? So you are, if that's what you do, you are leaving learning to chance, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, so now let's turn to, of course, if anyone have question, by all means, they can turn on their mic or they can type in the chat. So the OCUS part, you will be updating your personal document. Let's call it your learning journal. So you will update your learning journal every week, okay? I'll give you a small task every week, okay? Sometimes it could be writing a small passage, a short passage. Sometimes it could be drawing a diagram, or sometimes I would give you a program and I may ask you to write a small program to test the program that I give you. So that is, but it sounds like very challenging, right? So how can you write a program to test the program? Well, of course, we're going to teach you how to do that. So don't worry too much. And in fact, very likely you will be even writing a small Python program to test another Python program, okay? Because CM is working on it for this year. I think he will teach that part for you. And I'll explain what you need to do this tutorial, okay? So some of you may get ahead, but when you have the tutorial, then when you have the tutorial, you can work together and then submit at the end of the tutorial. But this week, we have a special arrangement to make because some tutorial groups fall on Thursday. I want to propose that I will run my Zoom classes on Thursday, like on holiday as usual. But whether you want to attend it is up to you, okay? So what it means occasionally missing one tutorial submission, is that okay? You can catch up in the next week, okay? But if you miss it several weeks in a row, your tutor is either Oliver, me, or CM may remind you, okay? But of course, it depends whether we have time. We will try to remind you, and we may even warn you, okay? And if you keep missing it, then we reserve the right to deduct your marks. But otherwise, missing it one week, you can submit the work the next week, okay? So you would submit 2 weeks worth of work in one submission. That's fine too. Second week, you will form a team, okay? But you don't need to worry about it in the first week. But we will do those things that require lots of interaction. We'll do them in the tutorial. And okay, so now The green part, your individual, your personal document is worth 50 marks. So you will add to it week by week. And then the members of the whole team would assemble the work done by each person and then make it into a group document. And that will give the final 50% marks. So that's very simple. And you don't, so of course, there's some cleaning up when you assemble individual work into one document. Maybe you have to add a paragraph here and there, but that should not be too much work comparing to preparing for a final exam or the typical group project at the end. You don't have to work that as hard because most of the work are done in the individual document. The last point here, many of you may not know this rule, but this is what I know is that if in the OCUS part, you get a very low grade, okay? We know 40 marks is, like 40% is the passing for OCUS and OES. But if you only get 31 to 39 in the OCUS, okay, which is our terminology of term score. So this is the term, OCUS is the term score, OES is the exam score. If the term score is below 40, as long as it has 31, you still can pass, but you cannot get A or B, okay, if you are in that low range. Okay, so, well, one more slide and we have a short 5 minutes break, okay. This is the course learning outcome. You learn to explain software engineering concepts and activities. And I highlight explain because in a job interview, if you cannot convince the person to interview you, then you're not going to get the job, no matter how much you know about the subject. So we want you to be a good communicator, okay? And you need to be able to explain. And so we will learn to create some documents, for example, software requirements specification or SRS. It is a way of capturing what the systems need to achieve, okay? So this is important. And then you will learn how to design software system to meet those requirements. We discuss about software development processes. There are different kinds of development processes, and they have different strengths and weaknesses. So depending on the nature of your projects, you may select an appropriate process. So there is not a single software process that is good for all software projects. So you have to, it's just like if you have a nail, okay, a nail in front of you, then your tool, the tool you need is a hammer. But if you have a screw, okay, 螺丝, okay, then the tool you need is a screwdriver, 螺丝批, okay. Then, so depending on what problem you have, you need a certain tool. So there are different kind of processes. And software engineering have much concern on quality assurance. So our students, in fact, our course is actually, I would say, have some emphasis in testing and quality assurance. One way is inspection. That means your teammates will inspect work of each other. So this is quite important. And now finally, you have all the skills, and we want you to be able to know what is ethical to do, okay? You as a student, I know you also, as a student, you have your dilemma too. For example, when the online exam first came out, then you have this challenge like ethical decision to make. Okay, should I gang up with other students trying to cheat on an online test? Okay, online exam. Should I do that? Is it ethical to do? Well, uh, of course, it is not. As a software engineer, there are times you would face similar challenges. Okay, and at least the least that this course can do is to make you aware of the consideration. Okay, we cannot be assured that we can make you a saint that never lies, like never tell any lies, 100% honest all the time, 100% responsible. We're not sure. Okay, we cannot be too overly confident that every graduate would do that, but at least we want you to be aware of what is ethical and what is not. And so now is a good time to take a 5-minute break. And when we come back, uh, maybe we can discuss if you see any drawbacks in the learning outcomes on the last slide. And of course, if you want to contribute, you can either turn on your mic and say something uh, because I have right now, I have 247 students uh, logged on. Uh, so if you raise your hand physically, I won't be able to see you. But if you turn on your mic, then I can. Okay, so let's meet back here in 5 minutes. Okay, but in the meantime, by all means, type your message and right. So I'll see you shortly. Hello，係食緊啊，唔該。唔係而家，因為我哋係要喺呢度，而家係同學生講上堂嘅，不過而啱啱即係中間休息時間2分鐘。因為有啲而家有啲堂有啲學生要喺屋企喺電腦上嘅。OK，我而家又就嚟開始翻啦。哦，唔係你唔講嘢得㗎啦。哦，OK。Sorry，the janitor just walked in and I guess you heard my conversation with her. Okay, so let's resume. Let me see if I have shared my screen. Have I shared my screen? I assume you can all see the slide PowerPoints, right? Can you? No? Okay. Let me share screen again. Okay, I hope I can see it, right? Like you can see it. Okay, so you will see that in this first class, I had a lot of emphasis in trying to motivate you for doing this course, because I know your other courses are all about coding, and many of you choose to study computing or engineering because you don't enjoy writing or English or languages very much. Okay, you're interested in technology more. Okay, but I have to. So for you, this type of courses, like software engineering, actually require you to have language ability. For example, communication. Okay, it's very important. I have to tell you, because my course usually have very poor course evaluation. Okay, of course, I'm partly responsible for that, for not making it interesting enough. Okay, so that's why this year I try to be, when I speak, I try to be more dramatic to make you, to keep you interest. Okay, previously, in previous year, maybe my students complained about me talking too slow, too boring. Okay, so I try to change. Okay, because of you. But previously, in previous year, many students, they did not enjoy the course very much. But those who did well after graduation, those who get promoted to some leadership role, they actually came back and thanked me, because they said the things they learned in this course turned out to be very useful, especially for their promotion to some leadership role. So that's why I want to emphasize with you, if you're working for a large company, okay, their software project tends to be bigger, then also they have more money to pay the developers well. And in that case, you will always work in a team. Okay, you always work in a team, and your communication ability is very important. But of course, on the course learning outcomes, we could not mention these kind of things, but these kind of things are very useful. For example, if you develop good self-learning skills, that means after graduation, you will be able to update your skills on your own. Okay, because those technical skills, this course is not so bad, software engineering, but in other programming course, well, they are gradually replaced by new programming languages. For example, Python is one of the hottest language right now, but 5 years ago in Hong Kong, not too many people know about it. Okay, even the best they know is the name of the programming language. But today is becoming very hot. So uh, your whatever technology you learn in your undergraduate program, it may have a half-life of 5 years. So in 10 years time, maybe people require you to have new skills. So you want to have all these in you, okay? Communication, team playing, they are very important. But I want to share with you the story of Jack Ma, okay? We all know about him as one of the most successful technology businessmen. Uh, and he graduated from Hangzhou Normal University. Hangzhou Normal University is not okay, especially back in the days of Ma Yun, Jack Ma. Uh, it was not like the term normal university in mainland China. In Chinese is 师范大学, okay, is for teachers training. And you want to know that in general, the high school graduates with the top scores, they generally don't choose teaching, okay? The top students get into business, medicine, and in the old days, in my younger days, they get into engineering, okay? Because my score was a little bit lower, so I get into computer science, okay? And, but so Jack Ma, he get into the Hangzhou Normal University in the third attempt. That means his previous two attempts was a failure, okay? And then he turned out to be the most successful businessman in China. So what it teaches us is that it's quite all right to fail, okay? You can fail, but if you learn from your failure, okay, you can come out as a very successful person. So maybe some of you wanted to get into Hong Kong U initially, but couldn't, okay? And so you get the Open U of Hong Kong instead of U of Hong Kong. But so for you, you may think is not your best outcome, but if you learn from it, okay, maybe you look at your study habits. Perhaps you had some very bad study habit before, a wrong attitude, and that caused you the entrance to a higher rank, more highly rated university. Then if you look at yourself and make the correction, and you could become the next Jack Ma in Hong Kong, okay, from Hong Kong, okay. So this is what Aristotle said. Do I get it right? Socrates' students was Plato. Well, actually, I think Plato, Socrates, and Aristotle, like they were teacher or student of each other. But so this is one of the top ancient Greek philosopher, and their thinking greatly influenced the Western culture. Okay, and he said, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act but a habit." So I like to use this as an example. Okay, isn't it nice that you come here for software engineering, you even get a little bit of physical fitness and or biology, okay? 1 pound of body fat contains 3,500 calories. A hot fudge sundae by McDonald's, okay, has 333 calories. And if you eat 11 of them on consecutive days, so after you finish 11, you gained 1.05 pounds, assuming everything else unchanged, okay? It is a simplification. So what it tells us is eating one sundae is not going to make any difference to your weight. But if you do that repeatedly, okay, over and over again, is going to make you gain or lose. So for better or for worse, repetitions affects us immensely. So that's why at the very first day of this course, I want you to get your habit, especially your study habit, straight, okay? So that you would choose the study habit that is most effective. This is, as you can see, this is Toronto, okay? So I here it says habits equal repetition. Even when I was a teenager and then throughout my 20s, I tried many times to learn skating, okay? But each time I wait at least 1 or 2 years before I practice the second times. So for so long, I couldn't learn, like I couldn't manage to skate, okay? Even though I tried multiple times over 15 years, okay? But when I was 34, okay, and my son was 4-year-old, and his kindergarten was taking him to skating. So as the pride of a father, I want to, for one thing, I want to make sure that if my son learns it, I can learn it too. That's one thing. I want to set a good example for him, and also I want to know his struggle. So when my son is learning piano, I learn alongside with him. When he learned to skate, I also learned. But of course, I can't go to his kindergarten to go with him. So at that year, you can see here, this is the courthouse in Toronto. The right-hand side of this very old building, there is a small row. I used to work here, okay? It was like 25, 26 years ago, okay? So at lunchtime, I decided that I want to learn skating. So I went there during lunchtime. On the third day, I can already skate and go around here, okay? So this is a place, is an open space. They provide, of course, you can rent your skates, but otherwise admission is free, okay? This is the City Hall of Toronto. So wintertime, if you go there in the wintertime and you want to enjoy free skate, then by bringing your skates, you can go there, or you can rent it there, except that you don't have anything to assist you, hold on to the side. But the third time, I can manage to skate. So my progress was much better than my previous skating practices. Why? Well, because I repeat my practice frequent enough. So that is the key. So when you are studying, okay, if you repeat your practice, your studying too far apart, if you only go to your books or only go to study once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you're not going to do very well, okay? In fact, there was a research that I did with someone that consider an online course, okay, that for the students who their total lock-in time are the same, but those who concentrate all the log-in at the end of the course do not do well as well as those who spread out their login time throughout the whole course, even though their total login times were about the same, okay? So that means your repetition is important. So if you do 20 hours practice without resting, okay, the learning result is not as good as you do it 2 hours at a time, you do it 10 times, maybe once a week. Okay, so you need to space out your repetition. You cannot make it too far apart, but then you cannot cramp it together. So the timing is very, very important. Now, frequent repetition training. I can still do 15 push-ups with one arm. And if you don't believe me, okay, you can join my workout one time. On a good day, I can do 20. Okay, I have to train 3 times a week, and so I do that regularly. So I also also, if you're interested in joining my workout, you can let me know. Okay, uh, I have a small group, although right now I don't have any students in the group, but I welcome students. So if you want to have more energy, uh, uh, I think I have lots of energy for someone my age. Okay, uh, and if you want good health, then you want to train regularly. Okay, so mindfulness. In the summer, I find myself not concentrating as well as I should. So I try something called mindfulness, and I download 2 apps. Uh, I think 5 to 10 minutes of meditation every day, it helps me. And also there were clinical research to prove that it reduces stress, just like physical exercise. This quietness, meditation, is quite good. And one of the things they ask you to do is, um, for example, during the meditation is not to make judgment. Okay, don't judge things good or bad. Well, usually in everyday life, we need to make judgment. So judgment is not a bad thing, but sometimes if we use judgment all the time and our mind is too tired, we get fatigued. So the mindfulness exercise is for us to do something slightly different. So it is a way of letting our mind to rest a little bit, to balance a little bit more. Okay, it's not the very old-fashioned meditation that is religious. I don't think it has anything to do with religion. So whatever religion you have, I don't think it would contradict with your beliefs. Okay, so it's just for example, we all the time we worry about future. We work hard for our future. Well, it asks you to uh, just for a moment, for during the meditation time, forget about the future. Like just focus on that, and it's the breathing technique. Those things help you relax. So consider that. Okay. Of course, if you're very healthy, if you are already doing exercises, sleeping enough, that's great. Okay. Oh, I see lots of messages. Let me see the messages. Okay. Well, I got good question, but I'll get to it later. Okay. Um, student asked how to submit. Is it submitting to the weekly work? Are we submitting to OLE? Okay. Um, haven't decided yet. Okay. In fact, I think I have set up a Moodle site that if you check, I wonder if anyone has received an email from a Moodle site on your main university email account. If you have, please let me know. If you haven't, then maybe I didn't do it properly. Okay. I'm supposed to have sent you an email, okay, through the Moodle setup. Moodle is a learning management system that I have set up, which I have better control than OLE. So I was hoping to set up my own website that I have better control. I can do more things in it than the OLE. But okay, so it looks like you haven't. Okay, maybe I'll try that again, and then but we would get that set up before the tutorial. Okay, so thank you for several students telling me that you haven't received that email. So I would get that done. Okay, so of course, if you go to the OLE, actually I have put the PowerPoint for the OLE, like in it, you should, unless I need to do, have anyone checked at the OLE and see the PowerPoint and also a sample template? Okay, I probably would give you like similar template later if I need a document from you. Okay, like for the OES as well. So let's get on. But if you haven't find anything on OLE, like haven't find the PowerPoint and the Word file template that I mentioned, please tell me on the chat. And then let me go on with the develop habits for effective study. I want you to have intrinsic motivation. So what is intrinsic motivation? The opposite of intrinsic motivation is extrinsic. Okay, extrinsic motivation means you want to finish this course so that you can get a degree and then you get a job in IT. That is called extrinsic motivation. But intrinsic means you actually just enjoy the activities or the process. So if I manage to make the lecture interesting, then it would be a little bit of intrinsic. Okay, and also if the tutorial exercise is interesting to you, then you sort of, at least you don't hate doing the tutorial exercise, then we can say that's a little bit of intrinsic motivation. Okay, try not to multitask. Okay, multitask during learning, you slow down your progress. You don't learn as well. Study weekly. Ignore your phone while in class. Limit the number of hours in your part-time work. Physical, mental health. So sleeping is enough for your memory to work. If you are sleep deprived, that means you don't have enough sleep at night. One thing is your risk of obesity, being overweight, is high. Okay, so if you're overweight, then, and also you sleep very late at night, the first thing you probably can do is to go to bed earlier. Okay, eat lots of vegetables. Okay, fruits is good, but too much fructose can also be a problem. Okay, the new trend is not to eat too much carbohydrate. But I guess you're young. Many of you are younger, so you don't have as high the risk of type 2 diabetes as old guy like me. But try not to drink too much soft drinks, because it makes your blood sugar sort of spike, go up suddenly, and it's actually like bad for your smooth mood. Okay, so so exercise regularly, and spend quality time with good friends. Meet good friends. Two links if from other places, including U of Waterloo from Canada, some study skills tips. Habit. This is how our habit get reinforced. We may have a routine and we get reward, and then when we have a cue, like, oh, so for example, I get cued from passing through McDonald's, and then I go in for the sundae, and then I feel very happy. And of course, maybe I get a little bit fat very quickly. Okay, so this is how habit is formed. So if you know the mechanism, then maybe you can think of how you can change your habit by applying this knowledge creatively. Okay, now this week's tutorial activity. You write in a learning journal. I'm going to show it very shortly. You write a learning journal that contains one thing that you like about this course so far, based on this very first lecture. And then one thing you dislike about it, okay? And also a self-introduction, okay, of yourself. In that self-introduction, you will tell some prospective team members. So you're going to hopefully at the beginning of the tutorial, you have finished writing your self-introduction. So you try to online, you try to share your self-introduction with prospective team members, because I want 4 students to, okay, so a few more students tell me that they haven't received the email. I would try to fix that after the lecture. Okay, I'll fix that. So I thank you for telling me about that. So this is your first week's tutorial. So before the first tutorial, write about this, and you want to, because the 4 people, a typical tutorial has 40 students or so, or even more than 40 students. And out of that 40 students, how do you know who you should form team with? You need to have some very basic understanding of each other, right? You want to team up with responsible person who are just like you, okay? Like the more responsible you are, you want to find something more just as responsible as you. You don't want to team up with some free rider or some people who cannot contribute to the project, right? So with this self-introduction, you will help each other to find out who should form teams together. And in that self-introduction, you will need to tell your strengths, your weaknesses, and what you worry about. And okay, part-time job you have. Well, why this is important? It actually is a piece of information that I need, okay, if you work too much part-time hours. I know some of you come from a not so rich family, and you have to earn your spending money. But let me remind you that do it only up to the degree that it doesn't affect your study. Because if you only get barely pass this course, or you get barely pass your degree, get your degree at a very low ranking, that means there's a good chance that even with the degree, you may not get interviewed. Or what you know when when the interviewer asks you questions, you may not know how to answer it. So even with the degree, and if you're lucky enough to get a job interview, you may not be able to survive the job interview, and you would lose, like you will not get a job offer. So so your goal is not just to get a pass. I think any student should try to aim for at least a B, okay, at least a B, because when you only get a C, there is a good chance that many things that your future employers would expect you to do, you won't be able to do it. Okay, so I want you to tell me about how much hours you spend doing part-time work. Include a photo if you don't mind, because with the photo and name, I can right, I can remember a person better. So this is the very basic things. Okay, so maybe when you do it, you would go through it. So let me do the share screen. I'll share you with a different screen, which is, okay. I hope you should be able to see this template file on OLE, okay? So Learning Journal of Oliver Au. So in your case, you would change this name. If you don't mind, show me your photo, okay? And then there is this table of content I've created, and so each week you would add an entry for that week, okay? So this is a fictitious answer, and keep the heading. So this, as long as you use heading 2, this is, I think, is it heading 2? So looks like it is. So if you do heading 2, this table of content, you can just update the field. And then when you add more heading, then the table of content can be automatically updated for you. Okay, so that is a very nice feature. You don't have, that means you don't have to create that table of content manually. Okay, so this can be updated. So let's see. Okay, so you try to tell me, I want you to tell me what you like in the first lecture and what you dislike in the first lecture. And then you do the first draft of your self-introduction, okay? So maybe you can tell, so this guy, apparently he got in year 3 entry because he had completed software engineering higher diploma in Ivy Ching E, okay? He got good math and so on, okay? He tell us a little bit about strength and weaknesses. His strength is in programming and weaknesses is in English. And this is also his worry, okay? Not understanding the lecture fully. And then he also told me the number of part-time job he or she does. And then he go and in the tutorial, he find at least 3 students to give comments. So he find Paul Chan, Mary Wong, and Peter Ma, okay? And so these are the comments by his prospective teammate. This guy, this is a very detailed mind guy. You forgot to use past tense in the second sentence. Yes, I complete. So it should say I completed, right? So he got that. And then Mary, worry about him spending too much time working part-time. So she asked do you have time to study after working 20 hours? And then Peter tried to make Oliver feels good that, oh, well, actually, this Oliver refers to the instructor. And so, but Peter said, oh, I'm poor in English too. So sort of make that student who wrote the draft feel not so bad, right? And then maybe he even tried to explain for the instructor that the instructor may be talking slowly to help students understand, okay? So this student took his first draft and revised, corrected present tense to past tense, and also write down, oh, maybe I will consider to reduce it to 10 hours. So you have a second draft. So up to this point is what you would submit. Okay, you would submit up to this point. And this part is what Oliver may give you for feedback after receiving it from you. So maybe I say, oh, thank you for telling me that I'm friendly. Okay, so that's what I explained why I want to be friendly. And also, I told you, I explained that I have a habit of speaking slowly. And I promise to try to speak faster next week, and then ask you to tell me again if I still speak too slow, okay? And then I comment about your self-introduction, okay? I say it's a little bit too short. I was expecting a little bit longer. But I say you still did well by including all the key informations, okay? And so it's nice, and I give you the score of 4 out of 5. So 4 is good, okay? It's not excellent, still can improve, but it's not too bad, okay? So 1 is, you can think of it as poor or failed. And then 2 is bad pass, 3 is satisfactory, 4 is good, and 5 is excellent. So this is good. So you will be writing your self-introduction, and then during the tutorial, you would read other students' self-introduction to give them your feedback. And then you'll also collect comments from other students about your self-introduction. So this is the kind of thing I expect you to do. Okay. Any question? Okay, so here you can get a template file from OLE, and you just rename it to help me figure out that this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 is your student ID, and this is the date. Each week you will submit one, and all, me and CM would try to give you feedback, but occasionally the enrollment in this course is the highest, okay, we ever got. So far on the student list, I got 275. That was a record. So realistically, I am not certain that I and CM can give personal feedback every single week. So if we can't do that, we would still give you a feedback every 2 weeks. But I still want you to do your work every week. But we'll try to see how often we can give you feedback. We aim for 1 week, but maybe it will become 2 weeks. Okay, let me see if Okay. I would, a question about how to submit it. I will, I will give you more information, definitely by the time of tutorial, okay? Because we expect you to submit it at the end of the tutorial normally. So we would give you the tutor, okay? It's either me or CM will walk you through uh, the submission thing, the actual submission. But you can download the Word file and do your like, dislike, and self introduction. Okay, which is I guess not too uh, should not be too bad. So uh, so what is the purpose of this tutorial? Like every tutorial activity, we have a purpose, but although sometimes I may forgot to tell you about it, but this one, we want to train you as a good communicator. And what is a good communicator? Well, he has to know what the audience needs. For example, the audience wants to form a good team. So you want to give him or her a good self introduction and tell them about yourself, the information that is relevant and easy to understand, and correct English is good because it shows your professionalism. Okay. As people said, if your uh, CV, your resume, or your application letter contain incorrect grammar, uh, there is a chance that it increases the chance of your application being thrown out even before it's read carefully. Okay, just because you have grammatical mistakes. So you want to uh, project a good image and provide information to prospective teammates. So that's the purpose of your first week. And we said the communication skills is important, and we want you to become a good communicator. And to form a good team, we want to have teammates with complementary skills. That means you if all of you are only good at programming and none of you can write proper English, then is not a perfect combination. So you want to have uh, a mix of different uh, personality. Although different personalities sometimes make the team allow the team to have conflict easily, but uh, it's still uh, it's a good thing to learn it in school on how to deal with people that are different. And also, uh, if if done properly, then a team of mixed skills can produce good quality work. I'm not sure if I have time, but there is a sort of a new approach to do things called design thinking. Uh, if I either would cover a little bit of it here or in the follow-on course. This is 350F Software Engineering. There's a follow-on course that is compulsory for some students. Okay, it's 350 ComS 351F, more about project management. Depending on whether we have time, we may cover design thinking in that next course, more likely. It's good for team members to have synergy. What is synergy? That means when the four person are combined together, they are more powerful than their sum. For example, if they only do their work and then just add them up together, that's not very useful. But if you can help each other to bring out their best, for example, if they did some mistake, you can help them correct it, or if you can encourage each other, that is what we call synergy. So that means the sum is better than when you're working together, you're stronger than just the 4 people adding up together. Okay. Okay. Hopefully, one of you has the willingness and the ability to lead. Okay. So still have one more part to go, and this is what we will talk about. So you can make suggestion, and I'm going to look through the chat box to try to answer your question. Okay. So let's take a 5 minutes break right now. Okay. Okay. Now, let me, before I get into software engineering, let me answer some of the questions. Let me answer them one by one. The first question is, are there students in the lecture right now? No, there are no students. And according to an email that I've got from the management, lecture, especially a lecture, like basically any class size over 50, we're not allowed to have like in-person classroom. And this course has, right now, we have 257 participants, including myself, and maybe CM might be here too. So there are over 250 students. We definitely lecture is no, we don't allow in person. We worry about the risk. And so, but tutorial is really up to you. You can come in. Is your choice. I guess if we apply the same rule of restaurants, I guess the room should not be more than half filled to make sure we have enough space between each other. Now, some students rightly tell us, mention about the potential of forming team, like the challenges of how to form team that you cannot meet face to face. Put it this way, I just know people who just got a job in Australia and never met the person in person, like the interviewer in person. He just got a job, and that other end is willing to wait for 3 months. So if a project can wait for that person in Hong Kong for 3 months to go to Australia, okay, then that's very important decision, right? Now you can imagine we should be able, yes, it's definitely a new challenge, but we should be able to overcome that challenge of at least half the class will not be present in the tutorial, okay? Of course, the tutor may help. I know we can create breakout room. Breakout room means instead of all 40, 50 students in one online space, we create a number of rooms. A few of you can get into it to have some verbal discussion more easily, because you cannot have a conversation with close to 50 people online, right? No one can hear anything. So now with the breakout rooms that you can just go to, that may be able to help. So what do you need to do before the tutorial? Before the tutorial, you should have finished this, your own writing part. That is what you like about this lecture, what you don't like about this, and also your self-introduction, okay? And then you should have finished that. And that should be something you can do in half an hour or less. And then in the tutorial, you will be reading other people's self-introduction. And then, so chances are you would, we don't know how it works well, but maybe we can even consider to set up a discussion forum so that people can post their self-introduction on the discussion forum. But I would discuss with CM over the next day before the Wednesday tutorial. I think the first tutorial will be on Wednesday. And we're just getting familiar with Zoom, and especially in the context of so many students. Like I've never, the previous record was around 200 students, okay? But now we have almost 50% jump of that. So it's going to be a small challenge, but I'm sure we can give it a try. And let's see, do we have? Oh, one question asked, can we choose our own teammate? Yes, you can. Well, I guess every tutor may be different. Okay, may be different, but I'm more inclined to allow you to choose. And if you cannot find it by your find teammate on your own, then we will help you. Okay. I think at least last year, when we still had face-to-face class, it was formed much more easily. So this is the first time we really, even the group forming part would be done at least half of the class online. So we would see, okay, we would see, but we will, as much as possible, we want you to able to choose your own teammate, okay? But of course, there may be some technical difficulty. Maybe some people are more popular than others. So many people want, maybe 10 people want one superstar as their teammate, right? But then at least many people of those 10 will be disappointed because he can be only on one team with 3 other persons. So we will, I guess, students may not like uncertainty, but sometimes life would be boring if everything is completely predictable. So I guess Jack Ma did not predict that he would fail to get into the university 2 years in a row, but then the outcome wasn't too bad. Okay, so stay optimal. I mean, stay optimistic. So this is what I can tell you right now. Can we choose teammates in other tutorial groups? This is a question I get every year, and sometimes it creates a little bit of chaos because I need to make sure that this person is off the list from this one tutorial group and then transfer to another. You can, I'm not against it, okay? I'm not against it. So you want to, but for one thing, you need to be able to attend the tutorial time. That means you must not have class conflict, okay? Because the idea of the tutorial is you have to be able to attend. Like in this course, I would encourage everyone to attend all lectures and all tutorial. But if you have to miss one, I probably would say I'd rather you miss the lecture, but not to miss the tutorial, because in the tutorial, you need to interact with classmates. How do you learn? In a course, okay, you learn from 3 main sources. One is from the learning materials, second is from the lecturer, and third is from your classmates. And if you don't learn from all 3, your learning experience is compromised. Okay. So try to make sure. So to back to that question of, can you choose teammates from other tutorial groups? It's a cautious yes, okay? So you must make sure that your name is sort of properly recorded as a membership in one team, okay? And we would do that in the second week, okay? So the first week, the main objective for first week's tutorial is for you to know each other well enough to form team. But the actual report of who and who become one team will be in the second week. We don't try to do too many things in one class, okay? So we want to have a little bit of focus. So, okay, so that's marking criteria for your self-introduction. This is, I would encourage students to make suggestion, okay, to how I mark it, okay? So if we don't get feedback from you, we would mark your self-introduction using this criteria. But so every week when we give you the tutorial exercise activities, we try to remember to tell you why we want you to do that, and also what will be the criteria of a good work versus mediocre work. And you can make suggestion. You can make suggestion even to change the activity either for yourself or even for the whole class. Or you can make suggestion to the marking criteria, okay, to modify the marking criteria. But you preferably we want to get your suggestion during the lecture, so that we have enough time to finalize it and apply it for the tutorial. Okay, if you just give us your suggestion during your tutorial time, then that means other classes may have had their tutorial already. Not enough time to inform them, like cannot change the marking criteria in the middle. Then if you want to make changes, if you tell us about the changes you want during the tutorial, that can only apply to you, okay? We may allow that, okay? So there's a term called teacher-centered education and student center. I want to push towards the student center. That means the students will have more say, more input to how they will be evaluated. So that's why okay, I get the message, but I don't understand the message yet. But can Pui Feng say that more clearly? Okay. So okay, let me go on with software engineering as a very short introduction. Three good definitions have been given. The first one says the establishment and use of sound engineering principles to obtain economically software that is reliable and works on real machine. The word sound is used as an adjective right now. It means it's logical, it's valid, it's correct. Okay. That's what the sound means. So reliable means it doesn't break down easily or not at all. And software engineering is that form of engineering that applies to the principles of computer science and mathematics to achieve cost-effective solutions to software problems. So you can see the close relationship of computer science and mathematics. So if you have good logical thinking, or could, we generally do not need a lot of specific math skills, okay? But the maturity or the mathematical thinking is going to be helpful, okay? The third one is I like the most, is by IEEE. Also, CMU is a university, Carnegie Mellon University. They are very, they're, they're, uh, their work lead software engineering quite a bit, okay? The advancement of software engineering. So IEEE is organization, is a computer society. They said software engineering is the application of a systematic, disciplined, quantifiable approach to the development, operation, and maintenance of software. We know developments mean like building it, right? Operation means put it into use. And then maintenance is software require maintenance too, because for a while, maybe the user requirements have changed. So you need to modify the software to provide slightly different functionality, okay? Or you need to make the user interface easier to use without changing the functionality. Those are called maintenance. Maintenance basically means modifying the software, okay? And the approach should be systematic. You do things step by step, you have a method to follow. And discipline, that means you do not do random thing. You have the discipline, okay, to follow the rules. Having rules are useless if you cannot follow, okay? So having rules, and you have to be able to follow it. And quantifiable means you measure your process or you measure your products. Both can be measured. The process means how well people work together, and the products means the final software that you've. What are quantification or quantity? Well, for example, how many bugs per 1,000 lines of code? Those are measurement we want to use to measure, let's say, the quality of a piece of software, okay? So a software that has 1 bug per 1,000 line of code is better than another software that has 1.5 bugs per 1,000 line of code. So we use quantification to measure. So this is what is software engineering. Okay. Some comparison to programming and software engineering. Programming cares about small scale design, and your effort is in coding. But actually, coding is just one of many software engineering activities. One other example is called configuration management, okay? Configuration management is perhaps the method or the system that helps you keep track of the version of the software, okay? Maybe a file may go through different updates. So maybe when you update one file, you have to update another file to go with it. So there are different versions from time to time that things will change. So the workable versions that work together, we have a configuration, okay? So you haven't, maybe many of your student project only have a few files, but in a large project, it may have hundreds or thousands of files, and you have to have the corresponding version working well together. And the one that works well together, you have a configuration, okay? And that is one of the software engineering activities that you don't worry about in programming. And coordination. One person, okay, in other courses, often one person write the complete program. Okay? But in real life project, they're so big. One of the largest project I've worked on, it was insurance systems. Uh, it has millions lines of code. You need to have each different teammates to work on different parts, and their work has to coordinate well together. Otherwise, uh, one team member have to wait for another team member to finish his work, then there may be too much waiting, uh, and we don't want to see that. So good project planning can ensure good coordination, and this is what software engineering also tried to address. So the techniques used in programming is data structure design, algorithm design, and maybe creativity. But in software engineering, we care about teamwork, we care about processes, and we have measurements. Okay, so computer scientists and software engineers also have different concern. Computer scientists try to uh, pursue optimal solutions. For example, if you may have heard of uh, the big O notation. Some sorting algorithm may have the order of n square, and maybe a computer scientist want to improve it to make it n log n. And this is the concern of computer scientists. Okay, but software engineers may not worry about it. Maybe they just a bubble sort, a very slow sorting is good enough, because the data has small size. You don't need to. It's fast enough. Then, let's say if the number of records to sort is only 100 or 200, then it's not a problem. So you don't need to spend time to write more complex algorithm. Okay. Um, so software engineers need to look after the money, make sure that is not over budget. Okay. Computer scientists also have different interests. Now, we already said computer scientists typically work on programs with a few hundred lines, but software engineers, is easy for them to have hundreds of thousands or even millions of lines. And software engineers also has to deal with non-technical issues. For example, people problem, okay, training problem, risk management, how to manage risk. Um, for example, if some software require on a old version of Windows, and Windows is dropping the support of that old version, then this is, I guess, is a very complex problem, and it's not purely technical. And of course, there is human issue like team building, that sort of issue, people not getting along with team members. Those non-technical issues software engineers have to deal with. Um, and we also deal with user interface design and so on. Okay. So now, SWBOC. SWBOC stands for Software Engineering Body of Knowledge. Okay, oh, there's a question from a student that says, can we define software engineering as an approach that take care of a large software project that deal with disciplines from many views and many views? Yes, yes, definitely. Yeah, that's the whole idea of interdisciplinary. So in fact, I guess this explanation proposed by In-Ho Wang is actually a more explicit, more detailed version. So definitely software engineering is, yes, is usually dealing with large software projects. Okay, and so what other, for example, we will already mention about human factor. Human factor can cover the users, or it can cover the management, or it can cover the dynamics between programmers. And also, for example, one thing is responsibility. Okay, sometimes some team some would assign responsibility of one component to one person. Okay, but actually there are some approach that actually believe in joint ownership, so that maybe a team of 5 person, they believe that the files are owned by the whole team, not by one person. Okay, so there are different views, a different approach, and we'll learn about that. But even just ownership is one area. So is one component, one file owned by one programmer, or is it owned by the whole team? There are different approaches. So it's interesting, and you can learn about, even though we will learn about software like from the software perspective, but some of the things we learn actually can apply to other types of management. Okay, so now back to our SWBOC. The two largest organization in the world is ACM and IEEE. Okay, initially they joined hands to define SWBOC, and SWBOC, the BOK stands for body of knowledge. Why we need, what is a body of knowledge? Actually, is a huge guidebook. The book make reference to many other books.
分咯，
Hello.
我都分完啦，第六堂、第三堂準備。
Okay. A student forgot to turn off their mic, unless you have a question to ask.
見到你隻腳。
Student, remember to turn off your mic if you're not trying to ask a question. Now, back here, the SWBOC, maybe one day I can show you the document. Is several hundred pages, but it does not tell everything about software engineering, but it has many references to many books and articles and other standards. And so the several hundred lines of code that make reference to several hundred books, maybe, or papers. And to define what knowledge is needed in the field of software engineering. So, but why we need BOK, body of knowledge, is they want to establish software engineering as a profession, okay? But it's not easy. I think initially, IEEE Computer Society want to provide some certification. So everyone who work as software engineering should get that certification. But in the end, it didn't happen, okay? So still, most programmers can find job without the certification by IEEE Computer Society. But still, that SWBOC is a very valuable guide. And you can see that it covers many different knowledge area. This is called knowledge area. software requirements is an area, is a top testing, construction, configuration management. These are the number of things that we would cover more than 1/3, definitely more than 1/3 of these topic, okay, in this course. And basically that's it we have for today. Any question? Have I, because there are many, I guess, any students you have outstanding question that I have not answered? Anyone? Yes, no? Okay. I can stay here for another few minutes if you want, if some of you may want to ask questions, but so make sure you know what you need to do to prepare for your, let's see. Let me share the another screen. Okay, so now you should see this OLE. You can get into it, and it has the PowerPoint and the template. So now you should, before the tutorial, use that template to write your own self-introduction and what you like and what you dislike, and bring it to the tutorial, and basically meet some people, and then find your teammates. Okay. The way we designed the assessment this term is that I think it would reduce free rider. Okay, because if we look back at the let's see, I need to switch. Let me go back to okay, because this AUKUS part, each person will be writing the individual document, and components of it will be used to build a group document. Now, if one out of the 4 members do not do his work, and then the group document will have work of the 3 other teammates, but not that person who want to free ride. And then the 4 students, like if all 4 contributes, then they would get the same or very similar, okay, even if not identical, but should be very similar final score for the OES. But if one person is not contributing in the group document, because they were taken from the things you wrote, we will tell you some diagrams. For example, 4 members, they would be drawing 4 diagrams. And if there are only 3 diagrams in here from those 3 other person, but not from that one person, then that one person may get a 0 or a very, very low grade for this part. So this way we try to eliminate, or at least we try to identify and discourage free riding. Okay, so this is what we have done here. And let me go back to see if there's no more questions. I would stay here for 1 or 2 minutes. There's one. Okay, ask the question. Should upload to, actually, I have not figured out how to. I know how to set up an assignment on my other website, but you haven't received my email to log on to that. I would consider that the OLE thing. Okay, I'll look at it. So you don't need to submit it until. Remember, you do not, after writing the self introduction, you don't submit it yet, okay? Because that way you would create too much work for your tutor. Your tutor want to see the version of your learning journal after you have collected the at least 3 comments from classmates, okay? So don't just send your self introduction to your because your classmates are supposed to give you suggestions to improve, and then you actually will improve based on your classmates' suggestion. And so don't submit anything before the end of the tutorial. Your tutor may give you additional information, suggestion. Okay, so don't send anything yet. Okay, right. Yeah, there are new questions about assignment submission link. I told you I don't want you to submit now. Okay, I want you to submit at the end of your tutorial. After you are getting ahead of yourself, you're going to trip, you're going to fall. Okay, so please wait, please wait until the tutorial, and you get more instruction to about how to submit that. Okay, right. KitKat, no, sorry, KitKat, got it right. Okay, so I think because depending on your tutorial group, you should have a different link on the OLE to click on. So based on your tutorial time, you click on your particular link and then join Zoom, or you can go to the classroom too. I don't mind some of you going to the classroom. Of course, with other people in the classroom, I will be wearing my face mask. Okay, but that should be fine. Actually, I'm getting maybe because too many messages. So some of your questions actually have been answered before. Can we group with tutorial people? Yes, you can, but you need to get permission from the tutor, and the leaving tutor. You have to tell your leaving tutor and your receiving tutor, okay, if it's a different person. I'm reading your questions. Right, okay. A question asked whether the tutorial is on Zoom or in person, okay? It's your choice. You can come in person or you can come over Zoom. You can do that. Oh, but except Thursday, okay? Thursday, Friday are holiday, so we will only have Zoom meeting for Thursday and Friday because of that. Thank you very much for for that thing for his question. Maybe I didn't get that. Yeah. So if let me type my answer. Okay. If your tutorial